dust is lying. We're tearing the veil tonight. Replanets screaming under NASA's paint. They color correct the truth till it fades away. Face on Mars stares back with ancient eyes. Pyramids rising where the dead wind cries. Cylinders gleaming in the rover's glare. Stone circles standing like they don't belong there. Brian Corey Dobbs got the footage on lock. John Ward slicing through the pixels non-stop. Sahara Cosmos, Ricardo Calvario, Jason Huffman, Sham in 7-Eleven, Alexander Cheskiewicz. We're all in. Mars Disclosure Live, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt, ancient cities buried. Feel the hurt. Mars Disclosure Live, truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past, potential for life. It's ours at last.
Sponsored by Spores MD for your personal mind-body wellness journey.
And greetings, humans. We are live on Sunday, August 23rd, 2026, for another episode of Mars Disclosure Live. Mars and Mars Disclosure are cooking right now. So many things going on John's channel and with Brian's channel, Blue Planet Red. Mars anomalies are becoming mainstream. We recently had, as a guest, legendary plasma physicist John Brandenburg. So if you haven't seen that one, go check it out from last week or 2 weeks ago. So many things going on in the world of Mars Disclosure. And we've got a great panel today. Jason Huffman, the Shaman 7-Eleven of the Shaman and Philosopher podcast, will be joining us shortly. We've got my young superstar friend and editor and author of Deja Vu, Has Everything Already Been, Alexander Cheskiewicz, joining us from Poland, which reminds me, we've got a real global audience. It's a real global movement with this Mars Disclosure stuff. So if you're watching I'm in Georgia, USA. I want to know where everyone else is watching from because let's make this a global thing. But you're in Poland right now. It's late. But you're here for the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on again. I can't wait to hear about all of these fascinating topics because I always have so many thoughts after our live streams, and it actually, even on my own areas of research like lost civilizations and the universe stuff, it really helps me to think about different alternative and helps me with my own stuff. So thanks guys for having me on again, and can't wait for today. Yes, it's evening here. Actually, it's end of the summer. Like in a few days, the summer, it was hot, and right now it's like autumn here in Poland. So
okay, interesting. The leaves are changing and everything?
maybe not yet, but the weather and everything, it feels like 2 months beyond right now.
Got it. I do need to go to Poland. Is there any megaliths in Poland?
A lot, and lots of later medieval castles and foundation stuff in them are like these blocks in Peru, Sacsayhuaman, so a lot of that, and actually a lot of very strange drilling stuff, drills inside the rocks, similar to the famous ones in Egypt. So there is some kind of mystery here. Lots of underground stuff has been discovered beyond the legends. So a lot of megaliths here.
Love me some ancient mysteries. Now we need to dig. Now you need to come on my show and talk about that. Speaking of which, speaking of my show, I'm Dave. This is Dave's Multiverse, hosted by Dave's Multiverse. This is Mars Disclosure Live. We do weekly interview videos, long form, with lots of different people in the community. Like we just talked to Wandering Wolf, Michael Collins, just dropped on Friday. Megan is my lovely co-host. She's back from a little vacay. I don't know where she went, but she was rested. How are you, Megan?
Yeah, great. I was up a little bit north on Vancouver Island in a place called Tofino. It's the one place you can really surf in Canada. And this is the time of year to do it, for me at least.
Did you surf?
To be fair, I totally didn't surf. I just enjoyed
Surfing's hard.
It takes more energy than I have right now.
Right. Somebody's mic is buzzing. If everyone would take turns muting themselves, starting with you, Megan. I'll keep going though. Also, as I mentioned, on that we have John Ward, independent Mars researcher and graphic designer. Lots going on in his channel. The legendary John Ward. Thanks for coming back. And you've got a presentation for us. We're going to check out some interesting stuff. Lots of stuff going on your channel right now, huh?
Yeah, lots happening. The Mars UFO catalog was published a while ago, and that's really growing. And we've been able to extract some nice data from everything we've got in the record so far. I'll show you guys a nice graph that Mark Grace put together about these gimbal-like UAPs. And they seem to be appearing at regular intervals. That's very intriguing. We'll have a look at that in my presentation. And by the way, I'm in the second down under, South Africa.
Got it. We usually have an international panel going on here, so glad to have you. Looking forward to the presentation, man. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about his presentation during it, everyone who's listening, go ahead and throw them in the chat. Megan will try her best to get them up on the screen and get them answered. We don't always get to all of them, but we'll try our best. And lastly, he's the engine behind Mars Disclosure, which is becoming, it's really gaining traction. And I'm happy to be a part of it in this small way. But Brian is really the driving force behind this. He's a journalist and filmmaker. I wanted to ask you, Brian, have you seen, obviously you have, you've seen War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, right? The Tom Cruise one?
Yeah, man.
Have you seen that? Have you seen people saying that this thing we're going to talk about today looks like that?
Of course, man. Of course.
It just cracks me up because I really do enjoy that movie, and to me that's the first thing I thought. So tell us, set up the show a little bit for us, Brian, and thank you so much for everything you do. And welcome back to Mars Disclosure Live.
Hello, Jason, who just joined us.
Yep.
So happy you're with us here.
Hello, Jason.
Thanks, bro. Hey, everybody. Sorry, life with teenagers. You know, it's constantly. There's always a something. And my oldest had a car wreck 2 days ago, so her car's out of commission. Now my youngest has a job,
okay.
So I thought I had an issue, but I got it sorted. So thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Oh, well, we're just getting started. You didn't miss anything. I just Dave, you're asking where everybody's from. I'm in North Carolina here. So yeah, it's I just went to the coast myself last week and got in the waves. The water was incredibly warm. It was awesome. So goodness, Dave and I, we sort of chat after each show about what to do for the next one, and we're tossing around some ideas, and we've got a few things percolating, developing that we want to address here on the show. But really, it seemed like the play this week seemed to focus. It seemed to make sense to go all in on the jellyfish. And we're going to get into it today. But I just want to give it a shout out to. I saw a Crazy Swede in the chat. His name is Marcus. And John, where the heck is Marcus from? Is he from Poland?
Sweden. Sweden. Yes.
Crazy Swede. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry.
He also joined our team quite recently, just after Carrie.
Yeah, we got a chat going just for us hardcore Mars guys, and Marcus is doing some interesting work. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to yield yet, but Marcus has some ways of downloading the entire NASA archive and then looking at how frequently any given landform has been photographed. He's doing some crazy processing there. I don't know what it's going to amount to, but I know he's doing some interesting stuff. So I wanted to bring him into the fold. Shout out to Kari Sievertson, who we'll be talking a little bit more about today. And I don't know if Gary's watching, but hello to Gary. Just a quick preview. I've got a 25-minute video coming out about Gary. I'm doing a showcase on Gary for my next week video. It's all the scenes that didn't make the cut into the film, all the best stuff from Gary, his thoughts on Mars Disclosure, his work and everything. So it's kind of a get to know Gary and a tease about what he's working on next. And as Jean mentioned, there's another gentleman, a geologist across the pond there, Mark Grace, who's been kind enough to put together this catalog of UAP on Mars photographs and data. John will talk to us more about that. But just to preview what we're here to talk about today is this jellyfish, because it made the news. Now, for better or for worse, I don't know what everyone's opinion is about the Daily Mail, but hey, it's coverage. And after that, it kind of blew up, and all credit goes to Kari Sievertson, who was originally the one who discovered this, and everybody's talking about it. And we're now getting so much attention on this that we're starting to spot some copycats out there who are producing videos on this. And while I'm happy that it's catching on, it's a good indicator that, look, there's something to all this. My interest is in making sure that the people doing the hard work, the putting in the long hours, actually finding this stuff, are the ones credited for this. I think Mars Disclosure is kind of unique in this way because NASA takes the photos, but I don't credit them with discovering anything because I don't want to acknowledge any of this stuff exists. And we can get into it a little bit more. I've got some more thoughts on this, but just as an introduction, as a preview of what we're talking about today. A quick technical question here for the panel. Dave, so we've got a multi-stream going across a few different channels here.
Yes.
And while I see here in the chat, it seems to be a compilation of all the comments across all the channels.
Yeah.
The only way for us to directly respond is if we're watching one of them on YouTube and engaging with the chat there. I'm on your chat, Dave, because I feel like there's a whole lot more people chatting there than they were on mine, but I don't know. I feel like I want to engage. What do you guys suggest?
The Cousins brothers have also tuned in, Third Phase of Moon. I've worked with them before in the past as well. We've collaborated.
The brothers, they're here?
Yes, Third Phase of Moon. I checked them in the chat.
No kidding.
Welcome, guys.
The documentary brothers? Hey, guys, I've seen your stuff, man. They produce stuff with Dr. Greer, right? Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Yeah, I can comment back to everyone. I'm seeing all of them, and I can comment back. But you I think have to, like, Jason held up his phone, so you have to. That's what he does. I don't know what John does, but he's always talking in there, and same with Oleg. But you could just open up another tab or something.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to know what you guys.
I have all the tabs with all the live streams, and I'm looking.
If we put them all up, is that going to break the internet? I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, so guys, every time we get together, I'm more and more excited about talking about this stuff because there are these metrics of the public's engagement with the material. And it is further validation that what these Mars researchers are uncovering is substantive and legitimate. So, Jean's got some stuff to show us today, but I want to go around the room. We'll talk about what this means overall as we go through it. So, Dave, Megan, and Oleg, thanks for hosting.
Yeah, no problem. This is funny, Ricardo. I can only fit 2 live chats on my screen right now. I'm on Dave's and Sean's channel right now. We really appreciate you guys very much. I just want to say that. Everyone watching us.
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody.
So, is Brian, you good?
Yeah.
I thought you were frozen for a second. So you want to get into the presentation or?
Yeah, sounds good. So I guess, Jean, can you just give a quick overview for those who haven't been following along on the day-to-day? What is this jellyfish? What were the developments here? And kind of walk us through just a quick version.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Brian, we've got this group on X where Carrie, Marcus, myself, you, Gary. I don't know, is there any other research involved in that group?
Well, there's Dr. Max. Hello to Dr. Max.
Yes,
Derek
Chani, yes. Right. Okay, so what we do is we chat on a daily basis. If someone finds something, they post it. They ask their opinion. We look at it, brainstorm it a bit. And if it's something worth mentioning, we'll publish it. We'll do a video, whatever. And Carrie posted this image, and I couldn't believe it when I opened it. It looked like one of these tripods from War of the Worlds. So
when did this come
immediately. When?
Yeah.
When did we find it, Brian? About a week ago, eh?
Yeah, I believe Gary posted it on the 12th.
I saw Jean's comment on it. It was like a week ago. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
And I think Jean did a video on it
immediately after. The same day she discovered it. Let's just check. When was it found?
She posted on the 12th. I'm looking at it right now.
Yes, and I did a video 11 days ago. When was that? Also the 12th. Yes.
And the image itself was taken in 2023.
Yes. But the same day she found it, I released the video on YouTube crediting Curry for a discovery. And I did a nice close-up of it. And that's when the Daily Mail got hold of it a couple of days later, and it went viral, absolutely viral. So do you guys want to see the presentation? Shall I do the presentation?
Yes, and Rue wants to know if Megan's going to get a chance to talk today.
Sometimes the chat's so busy, I can't even keep track of what's going on with you guys.
And she talks, and trust me, she's doing a bunch of helpful, important things as the show goes on too. So
I appreciate you, Rue.
Yeah, because we do like hearing from Megan as well. I just want to, can I start? I know this is your presentation, but chat, if you've seen this, and panel, I'm sure you guys have seen this by now. Did you first think of War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise when you saw this shit?
Are you asking the panel?
Yeah, everyone. The panel, the chat.
Can you guys see my screen that I'm sharing?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, cool.
Jason, you know what I'm talking about?
I didn't see the Tom Cruise movie, but I did see the clips, and yeah, it does look very, very much like that.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, something solid with something not so solid dangling down from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a tank, head on a tripod.
Yes.
Like, with the barrel and with everything.
Yes. The turret, yeah.
Yeah, the turret, yeah.
So, yeah, can the audience also see my presentation?
They can, and they're all saying yes. That's the first thing they thought of.
Okay. There are the source URLs for all the images that we'll be looking at. And don't worry, it will be a condensed version. We're not going to look at each one of these individually. So if you want to follow along, take a screenshot, and there are the URLs. So this is the photograph that Curry posted. And believe it or not, it looks like just a normal photograph of Mars. There are lots of boulders, hazy background there with a background on the horizon. But check out the strange little black feature just above the surface. Can you guys see that little speck?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even in this photograph, you can make it out. It's like the gimbal UFO thing with something sticking out underneath it.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a conventional magnified version of it, and then a deconvoluted upscale to the right. And what deconvolution does is it preserves original photograph detail and it minimizes noise and blur. So all the details are still there, except it's upscaled it and it's not blurry like you get with a conventionally magnified image to the left. So that is actually there, it's real. And there it is in context, so that you can see the upscaler
Whoa.
does a pretty good job. Look at the boulders and rocks and everything else. It's not introducing like weird artifacts, like things that aren't there. When you upscale something, or when you magnify something, it gets blurry, right? Then you get these like dark gray, lighter gray pixels. And what the upscaler does is it averages those down to form an outline of what you're looking at, because some pixels are not completely black, which means the object going through it isn't a full pixel wide. So it interprets it as a gray pixel. So it's like a quarter pixel or part of a pixel. And what deconvolution does is it averages out the blur to give you a solid outline, if you guys know what I mean. Because lots of people would say, yeah, but if you look at that on a pixel level, you don't see the detail that you do in the deconvoluted. And I understand the argument, but these are not full pixels. Some of those are light gray, indicating whatever it photographed in that pixel wasn't a full pixel. It didn't cover the full pixel in the CCD. So I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
I appreciate you trying to explain it to me.
I
Yeah,
do.
very good
and
explanation. And
yeah.
this one even
Oh,
looks
yeah.
good without the upscaling. Even just enlargement, it looks very good.
It's
Yes.
true. The side by side makes me almost see like vaporous, like like it's some sort of vapors or something leaking from it. I don't know, but
Yes.
it's very interesting what the side by side does to
We'll
what I see.
We'll
I think-
take a closer look. There we go.
Wow.
So we can see one protruding part coming out quite clearly, but then there's some blur underneath it. And it looks as if that might be stirring up some sand or dust, and it might be obfuscating what
And
might
sorry,
be
am I
another one of
looking
those
correctly?
probes behind
Does
it.
it have an antenna? It looks like it has like a very small, tiny antenna even to it.
On top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you look at
That's even more convincing.
I'm with Jean. The legs, or what, for lack of a better word, are obscured by either dust or cloud or something, moisture, something like that. I don't know, but we're not seeing the full leg there, for
Yeah,
lack of a
it's-
better word.
it looks like there's a dust cloud being
Yeah.
kicked up underneath the object.
Correct.
Or
And
like a
then
flying saucer, and then something is being poured from it. Just
maybe,
a saucer, and then something is
You're right.
coming leaking out of it.
Can
who
we zoom back?
knows?
Right. Yeah.
Sulu,
zoom back out
eject
for a
plasma
second?
fuel.
It's
Zoom back
alien
out.
sewage dump.
Sorry, go ahead, Megan.
Just can we zoom back out for a second? We got a geologist with a question here about something else. Same level, maybe
Where is it?
further out. Far right site, same level. Dark elongated. I'm not sure what they're talking
Which
about.
comment is it?
The one I have up on screen right now.
What's on
Is
the
he
far
talking
right?
about part
Oh,
of the rover in the
this.
bottom right-hand
Oh,
corner?
okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's part of the rover. It's one of the detectors
Okay.
that are in the field of view of this camera.
Got it. I was so fixated on the on the tripod robot. Jean, I have a video pulled up of that Iraq thing. Can I show it real quick?
Yes, this is where the jellyfish name came from.
Okay.
They refer to it as the Jellyfish UAP
Okay.
in the Department of Defense tranches as well.
Let's just take a quick look at it.
Okay. Shall I stop sharing, or how does this
I
work?
think you just leave it. I'm sharing right now. Everyone can see
Okay.
this. I'll put yours back up.
Oh.
Sure.
So this is over a military base in Iraq. I don't know the exact details. It's like the date and time or whatever, but this
2018,
yeah.
2018 Al Taqaddum Air Base, Iraq.
Got it.
And this thing appeared multiple times. I'll show you the article. Thanks to Brian for pointing the article out.
Your presentation's back up, but I just wanted everyone to see that thing in action.
Okay. Because that's a screenshot from that famous video.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing's also got a main body to it and 3 protruding parts underneath.
Correct.
Where?
And this thing was spotted multiple times in the infrared. It wasn't visible to the naked eye, as far as I understand. It was visible in the infrared.
Oh.
And this thing was spotted going into a nearby lake, water, and it was down there for something like 17 minutes. It resurfaced and just shot off up into the atmosphere. That's one of the accounts that Jeremy Corbell was speaking about when he first released this. He actually released this before the Pentagon did. Okay, there it is.
The Daily Mail, awesome.
Floating jellyfish, UFO, haunted U.S. military base in Iraq for years. And this was in 2017, but there's conflicting dates. Some people say it's 2018. Some stories refer to it as 2017 or 2018. There's no certainty. It's very weird that they're confused about that.
Jean, is it possible to upscale the Iraq jellyfish? Is that something you could do? Somebody's asking in the chat.
I actually did over here in the screenshot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an upscaled version that you're looking at there. If you upscale it any more than that, it really breaks up quite badly because the original is really low res. And I think it was done on purpose. But yeah, that is an upscaled version that you're looking at there.
Okay.
To the right. All right, so yeah, it was spotted multiple times. I don't know. Do you want to talk about the article, Brian?
Well, look, I think just for the purposes of our presentation today, so we can get through this quickly.
Okay.
The idea of when I first heard, I don't know about you guys, but when I first heard this idea of a jellyfish shaped UFO, I said, that's ridiculous. And look, I don't know about you guys, but I really want the UFOs to just be saucer shaped to simplify everything. to make me feel better about the unknown.
Yeah, the universe.
But the fact that they're coming in all sorts of shapes is just endlessly confusing to me. And when we get such silly things like jellyfish, but okay, fine.
I'm calling it a tripod.
Jellyfish is a thing now. Okay. And if we're talking about this and it's making national news, international news coverage, and we're seeing something that kind of sort of looks like it on Mars, and we'll get into why we don't think it's just a camera glitch or and all that kind of stuff, then it's just something that I seriously, that we need to take seriously. So.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it wasn't the only time that a jellyfish UAP was spotted. Now, recently, in an article published on the 24th of June, 2026, a fighter pilot that was downed, him and his jet, in the Iran war, says that he also saw a jellyfish-shaped UAP. So this isn't the second time the military has reported a jellyfish-shaped UAP. He says it looked like a swarm of drones that flew in a jellyfish-shaped formation.
Wow.
But isn't that weird, eh?
That is weird that it keeps coming up.
Yeah. So let's look at other UAPs or UFOs spotted on Mars with probes or antennas or protruding parts. These have all been found by various researchers, Curry, myself, Joe White, Scott Waring. So I can't remember who discovered what, but I'm just mentioning the researchers that found these items. So, yeah, what could these parts be that are sticking out? It's very odd.
It's odd that they all have parts that stick out.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's various categories. From all the information we've gathered so far, we can start putting these things into classifications and categories. We can itemize them and everything, like the guy in the X-Files always used to say. It's categorized, itemized, and filed. Well, I'm just paraphrasing.
All of these look very sporty to me. Maybe they're research vehicles or something. They look, very clean and sporty. The one we're calling the jellyfish or the tripod, it's kind of bulky. I'm thinking perhaps that's like the UFO version of a camper or RV on Mars taking a vacation, and they're doing their sewage dump right there. I can't get over what Oleg said. Go ahead.
And the one above it is also, I think, can you go the slide back? Because, yes, here, the one above it, like above right, is also looking different for me. Like these two are similar, and the other one like a different kind of for me too.
Yes. That shape even shows up, for example.
Yeah, it's good that you showed the white one, because, if they all are similar to each other and all in black, someone can say, oh, it's like a camera defect or something, but it's also white, so it can't be like camera damage or something.
No, look at that pinwheel top right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and the next category, these have got bulbous parts on their bottom parts. Mm-hmm. And then we've got those that we don't know how to classify. Mark Grace and I, when we put the UAP catalog together, said, let's call these insectoids.
Call them dragonflies.
Well, he actually came up with the name insectoid.
I like dragonfly better.
Yes. But isn't that awesome? Isn't this amazing? And this is just the top percentage of what's been discovered.
Like the best ones.
Tip of the iceberg.
For me, the gimbal ones are just the same ones, but upside down and from like looking from a little bit different angle. They are very similar.
I think so too.
Yeah. It's like the same objects, but you look from like down below, for instance, and from an angle.
Yeah,
You
or
could
it's
be
or it's
right.
performing a different task, so it looks different as it does. Like maybe it has tripods that stick out at the bottom when it needs. Maybe there's a little antenna that sticks up and takes readings.
Or a flashing toilet.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's performing a dump.
Fidget spinners, says the chat. That's what, indeed, they do resemble that, the bottom ones there. Jean, real quick, I didn't catch it if you gave it. The dimensions of the jellyfish, is there a guess or an approximation on that?
No, we can't say because there's no scale indicator
Okay.
like they provide with the high-rise photographs. For example, they'll say 25 centimeters per pixel, 55 centimeters per pixel. In the analyst's notebook, which is also a NASA research site where the analysts go in, they analyze the photographs, convert the black and white bio-encoded photographs to color, then they publish those there. They've got a tool to measure distance and size. But I didn't find a scale indicator for many of these things.
Yeah, I think there is like an advanced program to do that, but they are just not using it for photos for people. I know for military for sure it is like that because you can't look from the image and say and estimate the dimensions because something is further away and not equally further away, you know what I mean? So but there are 3D softwares out there here on Earth to do that, so I wonder if they could apply it's that too, but probably too expensive, and for them it's like it's not worthy or something.
If you look at the object itself and the amount of blur there is out in the distance, I would say that object is behind this small hill in front of it. It's also blurred as much as the hill in front of it, if not a bit more. So it could be very close to that hill. And I'd say that hill is about 80 meters from the rover, a good guesstimate. So that object, I would say, is about 5 to 8 meters in length. The Angry Astronaut, I think, also puts its size as at about 5 meters, if I recall correctly. Brian, do you recall what the Angry Astronaut had to say about the size?
No.
I think he said 5 meters.
The one in Iraq looks like 5 meters too, actually, if you compare to the buildings, like when it's flying.
Yes. But okay, we can't say for sure. We like sort of guesstimating the size. If it was closer to the camera, it would be more defined and not as blurred. That's what I'm sort of trying to say here. So to me, it says it's quite far away, at least 80 meters or so away from the rover. And these things are always out in the distance. Like they're keeping a separation distance on purpose. They don't come any closer. Because I've been hunting the archive and I can't find one that's really close up. So let's see. The next thing is Mark Grace put this graph together for us.
Mark is in the chat. His handle is to something geologist. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway,
I can't remember his handle now, but he put this graph together from the data we've added to the archive so far. So these show the gimbal-like UFOs that I showed you in the slides just before this, and on what sols they appear. And there's a gap of about 150 sols between each. There's like a pattern that's starting to show up here. In these gaps, I'm starting to look for further evidence that these may have shown up again. But there's like thousands of photographs between that sol at about 2001 there, at about 2500. There's a lot of photographs.
Mark, Grace, thank you so much for doing this. This is the advantage of crowdsourcing, is it not? You know, for someone to catalog these things and put it together, a little chart for us like this.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I mean, I just love my Mars crew for doing this stuff because each person feels like they can contribute in their own unique way, and they're adding something new to this whole thing. Wow, cool effect there.
Sorry, guys.
Trippy, man. So
what am I doing?
Hold on,
No.
I'll get
Shout
rid of
out,
it.
Mark.
I don't know what happened. I wanted to go to the next slide or the next.
It's okay. You can reshare it. No big deal.
That looked horrible. Sorry about that, guys.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. This all happens.
I thought it was really fun, John.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
it looked kind of cool. It was very multiverse-like.
Very multiverse.
I hope no one with epilepsy is watching that part of the live stream, really. Okay, so can you guys see Megalithic Mars, the blog?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, this is my blog where I feature all the images of each of my videos for people to go in and download and check for themselves. Everything's there. Everything you see in my videos, you can find here as well. So you can go into the original, you can look at the upscaled version. All that's there for you guys. Yeah, this is just that weird object, the Black Knight. Right. Theoretically. You guys are familiar with the Black Knight, huh?
Oh yeah. Is anyone not? The Black Knight satellite. It's out there, right? There is one out. There is something out there, right?
Yes, there's a Wikipedia article talking about the conspiracy theory as well. Here's the illustration I put together of what I speculate we're looking at. I like to build 3D models in Adobe Dimension. So this is my take on what that thing is. It's not a space blanket.
I like it.
There's the original. Anyway, let's.
Dude, is that a photograph right there? That right there?
Yeah.
Go back.
Yes, please. Taken by the STS-88 space shuttle crew.
And they say it's not wreckage.
No. They put together an animation of photographs taken of that so-called thermal blanket. And
they say it's a thermal blanket from
yes,
the space station.
And I've compared the shape of this thing in every one of these frames, and it doesn't agree. I don't know how they can say that that is that same object. And it's moving down towards Earth, and it's going to burn up very shortly. Objects in orbit take years to deorbit and burn up. Yeah, they're claiming that thing's deorbiting. And if it's a thermal blanket, it will take even longer to deorbit and burn up. But anyway, that's just more, that's beside the point.
No, it doesn't look like a blanket at all.
No. If you go to catalog in the main menu, you'll see Martian UAP catalog. And this is the catalog that Mark Grace is maintaining for us. It's available as a PDF download. We had version 2 already.
Sweet.
And here it is, thanks to Mark. He puts all the data in. I created all thumbnails we look at. So there's the conventional gimbal UAP we're all familiar with. It's just there for reference. Then we get to the first part of the presentation, which is known camera artifacts or digital processing errors. And these typically show up over and over and over again in rover photographs in the same location on each photograph. So it's either something wrong with the camera or a digital processing error that always occurs at that specific point in a photograph. So to the left, you can see conventional magnification and then an upscaled thumbnail to the right. And these are known camera defects. There's a digital processing error where it makes these black blocks. That's an example of those. Then we get these that always seem to appear in the same spot in each photograph taken by that specific camera. So these are knowns. Then we get to cosmic ray bursts. The one there that looks like an orb could be a burst directly into the CCD, where the one to the top is more like going across the CCD. Am I right, Brian?
Jean, that top one there, the streak that looks like it's going down, was that the one that I provided you?
I know there was something like 28, and then Mark chose one.
Okay. Well, the cosmic ray bursts are a pixel wide, so it may look thick here, but it's because it had to be magnified to get it visible, essentially in a spreadsheet fashion.
Yes, the one on the left is magnified 800 times.
See what I mean? So every time, that is the conventional explanation, and maybe now would be a good time to pivot to that, assuming John is wrapping up here. But like we can,
Brian, can I just quickly? Go
ahead. I
know. I'm also itching to get to that part. There's also another digital processing artifact. We get these black blocks with this sort of snowish, like an old TV CRT with no signal, that blurry pattern. And then we get to those that we classify as actual objects in the Martian sky. These appear randomly in different locations, in different cameras. Yeah, we're looking at the left navigation camera, right navigation camera, the hazard avoidance camera front, hazard avoidance camera back. So 4 cameras on the rover have captured these objects independently in the Martian sky. Yeah, I'm just going to briefly scroll through those. Many of these were in my presentation. And what's nice is when you download the PDF, you can click on these links and they'll open the original NASA page for you as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can actually go in and see what was in that photograph. So
that's brilliant.
Great work.
Right. So, thanks, man. Thanks to Brian as well for capturing that data.
That weird tube one. Can you go back to that one? It's like a tube, almost like a baseball bat. Keep going. What the?
Yes, isn't that strange, eh? There's the original photograph.
This is amazing, Jean. I mean, not to harbor on it, but that you've got together and collated a fucking spreadsheet that I can drill down on. This is pro stuff here, dude. This is so much. Good job, dude.
I think was it your idea or Mark's idea, Brian?
Go up.
Yeah, well, here's where we credit those
up there
folks who don't necessarily get a lot of the public attention. Mark Grace is a geologist by profession, but he just started following us online and felt like he could contribute in this way. And kudos for him for putting in the work for doing this. It's kind of like, I don't want to do this kind of work, but Mark stepped up and put it together. And at a glance, you can just see the totality of evidence that we keep talking about. It's like, guys, there's something here. And we could go through the conventional explanations. I'll let John finish up, though.
That one looked like a bird. That's why I had him stop on that one up there.
Yes.
But it's okay. Quite
it actually
literally
looks
looked like a
that
hawk
in the original. Check this one out, the dragonfly.
Yeah, dragonfly. Let's make that stick. Let's start calling that a dragonfly.
There's even something above it.
Yeah. And I do want to give credit though to Jean as well, because the efforts here, Mars disclosure has baggage associated with it because previously Mars researchers have sensationalized the topic and have posted kind of manipulated images. And the benefit that we have here is at a glance we can see what the original photograph looks like and what the enhanced photograph looks like. And we might have to swap that one out, John, to put back the sand dunes. But
Oh, yes.
so we want to try to be as transparent. Well, our work is transparent.
It is.
We provide URLs. We try to address the skepticism, and we put it out there to the world, and we collect feedback. And if there is legitimate responses that we get that can explain some of these things away, then we will, correct ourselves going forward. But sometimes there isn't. So it keeps us pursuing these things, and our work builds upon those who came before us, and then there's going to be people after us who have something new to contribute. Credit goes to the three new people to the scene who you guys don't know yet. Mark, like we just mentioned, Kari and Marcus. They're doing some interesting work, finding some interesting things. Kari Sievertson is like the hot new rookie of the team here.
Yes.
Right out of the gate and finding stuff, and then all of a sudden making the news, going viral online. Next thing you know, Billy Carson and Daily Mail are talking about these things that CNN in Brazil is posting about this thing that she found. I mean, that's something.
It is. So anyway,
this is really beautiful. Continue, Jean. But I want to point out,
Okay,
love for the audience that Brian said this is almost crowdsourced. That just really stuck with me. That this was somebody coming to you and going, "I see what you cats are doing, and here's what I can do." And that's the way forward in so much, and that's just beautiful, man. Thank you guys for sharing this.
thank you. And I've also got to give credit to Joe White, Scott Waring, Carrie Sievertson, and you, Brian, as well as Mark, who are behind this. Without their efforts, we wouldn't have been able to even show you guys this. So that concludes my side of it. Is there anything else you want me to show before I stop sharing, Brian?
No,
It's
I think
overwhelming.
that's good. What I want to actually do before we continue talking about this is for Dave, Megan, Oleg, and Jason. Okay. First of all, Megan, after deciding that you wanted to join Dave in this whole multiverse show, you guys have covered so many different things. I wonder if you feel like you signed up for more than you bargained for, because there's so much ground that you guys cover, and all of a sudden we're here on a Sunday talking about jellyfish UFOs on Mars. Like, did you ever think you'd get there? I mean, I know there's there's a variety of stuff that you guys cover. So I'm just wondering, like, how far out this is compared to like everything else you guys are doing.
I think what I keep saying recently is that, like, the more I learn, the less I feel like I know. But the deeper I dive into this stuff, the more deep I realize it is, that I'm only just skimming the surface. Even talking to these brilliant people, there's just so much out there. It's hard to really wrap your head around the whole picture. And how does this all come together? What does it all mean? But I love to get to be a part of it. So I'm definitely not feeling regret. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I've always been open to jellyfish, but the first place I go, and hopefully this doesn't get us demonetized. I don't have I don't have the sound on, but I'm just saying, half jokingly, that I'm open to some kind of robotic civilization living inside Mars, like inside underground in Mars. Okay, and potentially here. All right, but let's just take a quick 10-second look at this, because this is the first thing I think about. That's why I asked about it right away. And I look when I am open because of what Megan said. It's the more we talk to people, the more we realize what we don't know. And then everything opens, all the possibilities open up. And I'm not saying I believe that there's a robotic civilization on Mars, but did you guys see all that shit we were looking at today? You know, I mean, and then we also see the same stuff on Earth. So I don't know, man. And sometimes Hollywood foreshadows real life. And maybe Tom Cruise is in on it. That's all I got to say. So,
Jason, you know, when Ricardo first talked to you about doing a Mars show, and then you seeing Jean's work, and then us being introduced to each other, you know, it's like you actually have access. The thing about Mars is that all we have is photos. We have photos and data. We're not able to get out on site, you know. So it's hard to accept these things as being actual tangible items when we see them in photographs sometimes. And I have to deal with all these people. I've seen so many comments this past week about how NASA is fake, Mars is fake, space is fake. Like, you guys really believe we went there? It's like the ridiculous comments like there. And, you know, Jason, I think back to your videos when you're going out into the wild, standing next to what appears to be some giant rock, but it's got this circular carving into it. And you know, it just seems so intuitive that, yes, Mother Nature doesn't do this. And I am a real person standing here next to this thing that has been manipulated by human hands.
Right.
You know, there's a disconnect with Mars, which makes it harder to message on it. And for you and your background, you know, I'm just curious as to, you know, what keeps you showing up to this show every week, Jason, when, you know, this isn't necessarily what you started, where your interest was originally, you know?
Several reasons. One of them, I think I already mentioned, was, you know, and you started with the great independent researchers and the work that I see being done here. You echoed, Brian, that I was already prepped by having found things here on Earth that sort of put me at a slightly different conscious level than the standard narrative, you know, a place, territory we're all familiar with. So I was sort of already grounded in that, you know, Brian. But the other thing I learned in that was the amount of anomalies, you know what I'm saying, that started to convince me, right? It's not just, as you mentioned, the one big circle. It's when everywhere I looked in this landscape, there'd be some rock. That's a question, that's a question, that's a question, right? So that's sort of also the thing I knew. I already sort of knew that, okay, the overwhelming amount is how I kind of convinced myself, you know what I mean, of what I was finding. And then I did a show about an hour before this one, Brian, my show called Finding Things Within and Without, right? And funny enough, I'm going to echo what Megan said here. I've got a saying I've started saying that one of the most valuable tools I had in my own little personal tool belt when this whole process, this shamanic calling, you know, life turned upside down, trying to change, whatever you want to call it, the most valuable tool I had at that time was my "we don't know anything" hat, right? Anytime I got in situations, I would put that hat on, because through, as I said in the show, through my own trials and having to get away from the thorns that were attacking me in real life, right, I learned to disengage out in the wild, right, and then start go looking for these things because I had to, you know, to maintain my connection. But to answer you, I think it's very important that we approach life itself. We know at the quantum level, Brian, that when a photon gets a consciousness looking at it, it picks a the state, right? So that alone is a limiting the unlimited, right? So if we know unlimited is sort of its base potential, why would we keep limiters on? And I think a narrative is a limiter. So I saw the fine work of you guys. I continue to see it. I see this spreadsheet just showing up to learn that somebody came out of nowhere and said, I believe in you guys and I want to put a spreadsheet together. Our damn government should be doing this, right? This is work people should be paid for. But this is human beings just saying, I'm taking my time. You know, these are things I do, Brian. I'm taking my time, things you guys do. And I'm going, this is important. And I've got some talents I could add to it. And this story needs to get out to the whole, right? And those are things that on a personal level, I see happening right here. So to answer your question directly, you know, that's one of the many reasons that keeps me showing up, right? Now, on a personal level, once I learned what I learned about here on Earth with what I found, as you say, you know, I call it antediluvian, whatever. Well, listen, that's a story right there that still leads to 1,000 more questions. And when John and his work started showing me shit that looked like Peru, you know, that looked like from above the stuff we're finding in the Amazon, old pyramids, right? And I start going, look, all that splattered rock, that looks like what I found in North Alabama. That looks like something big was here and something blew up, right? And so instantly I can just go, well, what if the same thing happened? And what if that indeed is part of the human story? You know, that's what I'm passionate about, is getting to the truth of who we are and just damn where we are. Because when we've got the proper hat on, we don't really know the answer to any of those questions, Brian. And if there's certainly something on Mars, the anomalies keep me here. But if there's a connection, if that's part of our story, then it's certainly worth being investigated for everybody watching and for all of us, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, Jason, I have a follow-up question for you, but before I ask it, I want to hear from Oleg, because you mentioned something just a second ago, Jason, like the I don't know anything cap, which is kind of the crux of Oleg's book, where, you know, he has very eloquently compiled quite a variety of information into one easy to read book, where the argument essentially is we have copious amount of data supporting this idea that there was an advanced civilization on Mars. And I struggle with, and I'm eager to know Oleg's thoughts. What I struggle with is, and I think this is what a lot of people struggle with, is the uncertainty that we have. We really feel good when we feel like we know everything. We've got a handle on everything, and the unknown or the mysterious frightens us to a degree, because we don't have answers for that. And we like to think life is so simple. We get up, we go make our breakfast, we go and run our errands, we have family, we sit down and we watch Netflix, whatever the case may be. But what is life, et cetera, et cetera. But so I want to come back to you, Jason, in a second, because I've sort of a tangential question. But Oleg, I want you to reflect on what Jason just said about what we sort of, we don't know things. What compelled you to try to start putting these dots together? How is your perspective evolving since you put together the book? Now that you've joined this crazy Martian crew, and now we're opening it up to frickin' different planets now, like, what's your take on all this?
When it comes to the fact that we know so little, I felt I was very intense in my middle high school, plenty of different competitions and stuff. I was even, when I got into all of that, I wanted to know everything, whatever I can about, biology, human evolution, history, the universe, physics, how does it work, possibilities within like spiritual stuff, soul. And then I realized, after going into all of these different kind of routes all at the same time, I was like, I woke up from the matrix, because it was only then when I started learning everything, I realized that it's just an illusion what we are actually learning, because we are learning, for instance, at school, oh, this is how the DNA works, okay, or about the universe, oh, we know these are the exoplanets and they can inhabit life and they have probably water, etc. But when you actually learn, how do we know about exoplanets and others? We just know about, the radiation the elements are giving from this particular region, from this particular planet. So it's not like a very precise knowledge that, okay, this is a large green planet with water. No, not at all. It's like our overinterpretation of these facts. So I would say I woke up from this matrix, because very often we learn, and I think it's a very good for learning, that you are saying, okay, I know that I right now know this more, and you have like confidence that you're learning, you're feeling like you know more and more. But I felt that it's all illusion, and what we know, in all of the textbooks about biology, about the space, about physics, we know so much, the laws of physics, we can calculate so many things and it looks incredible, but it's all an illusion, and we know probably like 1%, 2%, maybe even less, maybe more, I don't know how much, because I don't know still how much is out there. But then I realized that yes, we know so little when it comes to all this more stuff, while I'm still showing up for me. And I've heard about these topics already a few years ago, but I didn't have time to research it all, because when I went into lost civilizations and stuff, it was a very deep research, and a book may have 400 pages, but actually if I wanted to get all of my thoughts down on this topic, it would be like a few thousand pages. But then you need to strip away all of the data, process it by yourself, get the experience with all of these data processing, and you get probably 10, maybe 5% of all that you've researched, and you go like that. And I feel what you're doing, guys, it's the same thing about Mars. And for me, it's like an advance and a quickened learning process about this smart stuff, because if I wanted to research it myself, and I am interested in such things, let's say in a few years from now I would like to research this topic, it would take me so many years to have all of the conclusions. Like John, you are looking at probably hundreds of thousands or even millions of images. It's so much work, and I have everything compressed. I'm grateful actually for that. I have everything compressed, with all of the Johns, your Brian's, and all the other Gary's research, all of it compressed, after all of the things. Because okay, you can let's say briefly analyze thousand or a few thousand images, but it's hundreds of thousands, millions, and it's also a lot of work into, okay, let's be skeptical for a moment, let's address this skepticism about it, let's give this idea a thought, and this one and this one. There are so many possibilities, and you're guys condensing all of that, years of work and years of your own thinking, and it goes even subconsciously. John is looking a few hours per day, let's say, I don't know how many, at these images, and it's not only these few hours of work he does every day, it's also like his entire life. He probably goes to sleep and dreams about this stuff. It's his subconscious working. So I feel like, it's like, let's say I would put 1,000 hours into machine learning, AI, all of this stuff. It wouldn't be like that. So I'm very grateful to be here, because I'm a researcher. I know how hard it is, to come with all of your presentations, all of that. It's actually also for the viewer, for the casual layman, this is another kind of additional effort and additional kind of lots of thinking. How can I show that for everyone, and what is convincing, what is not? Let's think before about skepticism, so I can address it if it comes up in the chat, etc. So that's how I feel about our Mars Disclosure Lives.
Okay, so a couple of follow-up questions. Dave, okay, did you have the foresight to know that you were going to, when you started up the Multiverse podcast, that you were going to get into so many topics that just one universe wasn't enough to encompass all the topics that you were going to cover on your show? You had to spread it out to the multiverse. Did you just inherently know that, man?
Yeah, that was the plan, dude. I'm honestly
There's a
willing to
lot
talk.
to one universe, but man, it's like no, it wasn't good enough. I had to go multi.
I'm open because I think there could be multiple realities and multiple dimensions and things like that. I think we live in we experience very narrow bandwidth of potential reality. And we're lucky enough to be like in that stream of consciousness and in this reality and stuff like that. But there's a lot more happening behind the scenes. I've always felt that inherently. So when Mike and I first started the show and we met, I think he's watching right now. Shout out, Mike. When we first started the show, it's because we met at the Cosmic Summit, right? And I was first long drive I did after I had a surgery on my hip, and I went to North Carolina. I went to the Cosmic Summit. I met Mike in the elevator. We said hi, and then we met again in the elevator on the way down by accident. We just ended up hanging out all weekend. And a few months later, I texted him. I said, "Hey, you want to start a shitty podcast?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we just started from there. But the plan was, and why we called it the multiverse, was talk about anything and be open-minded and listen to people's points of view on whatever things we're specifically curious about. Now it's me and Megan, but the thing is this Mars thing. The big picture, I think, of Mars and Mars disclosure and what we're about to learn about Mars eventually, hopefully sooner, before I get too old, or before I kick it, is that Mars' history is deeply connected with our history and Earth's history. And in ways that we're just trying to put together right now. And you got people like Dr. Allison Brown, who are she's a serious lady. She's not a kook or anything. The channeling work that she does is very interesting. Megan and I interviewed her. Go check it out. But I knew I was going to be here. I didn't know I'd make all these awesome friends. Including the people who in the chat who are always contributing and sharing and showing up every week and sending me stuff offline and stuff like that. And then all my awesome friends, I consider you guys my friends now. And that's one of the cool things about, looking for the truth is that you find like-minded people. And then you make friends, because in my regular environment, and I like everyone in my regular environment, I just can't these aren't topics that people talk about. So that's why I love all you guys and everyone in the chat. So, but yeah, I knew I was going to be here. Long story for an easy question.
Well, thanks for committing to it all, Dave. You're certainly doing a lot, covering a variety of different topics here. I wanted to follow up on what Oleg said with a question for Jason. Oleg used this word illusion. It's all an illusion, man. Right? I've got a problem with this. Not that I disagree, but it presents conflict for me because I like to think that what I see is what it is. And the older I get, the more it seems to me like what Oleg is saying is right. And I'm uncomfortable with that. What do I do with that? What do we each do with that?
Okay. That's a deep one, bro.
It is deep.
For me personally, which is about the only place I can answer from, man, one thing that was really important to me when I started, I found Mobilla first, right? And I was dealing with all the native stuff, and that's not anything to stretch, your consciousness a huge amount of levels. I was already in touch with talking to things that don't have bodies at this point, right? Engaging with spirit. But when I found physically this stuff that I call antediluvian, that for me, right, and for me alone, grounded this reality that we all ask about, this former epoch of civilization, right? Now, when that happened, I was basically immediately able to disengage myself from what I personally see as one of the biggest causes, the thing that allows the current society, civilization, matrix, whatever words you want to all use, the thing Ellick alluded to, the lies, right, that allow them to happen, which is that we are at the greatest, most advanced place human beings have ever seen, right? You get brought into this idea that everybody's an expert, right? That right now is the most advanced. We know the most about the way the world works right now. It's okay. Trust the experts. Get in line. Cover your mouth. Stay at home. You know, all of that comes from the fact that we all believe what we're told, that this is the most advanced it's ever been. When I got grounded in a reality that something for sure we had achieved as humans, very, very, very different, but very advanced in ways that my history did not account for, I was able then to ground myself, right, and disengage from all those lies. But now also, Brian, I approach this as a man of faith, really, but you know, you could call it just from AA. I speak from those standards rather from church because I don't like systems, you know what I mean? But something that was told me to hunt for my higher power, right? And to engage with that. That's what that whole AA system is about, is driving you to just, they try not to tell you until you're there, right? But that's what it's about. All right, when I approached it with that, here's what happened to me, Brian. I was able to then go, because I'd made conscious contact, as they told me in AA, with my higher power. I was able to then, like, turn to take whatever your word is, my faith, my whatever. I was then able to go, holy shit, you have been working with human beings for so much longer. Like the Bible and all the people believe 6,000 years, and that's just fucking bullshit. Like, humans have been at this game for a long time. So when I applied that to my faith, Brian, right, I was able to then just walk in, holy, you do know what's going on. You know more than any of these people know, these liars, these experts that are giving me poison and telling me it's what's going to heal me when, oh no, look, it's what kills me, right? So as shaman, as you see below me, it strengthened then my understanding that what I was leaning into, this power, this spirit, right, this higher, that what I was leaning into was most likely what the natives who I studied were leaning into, the spirit, and most definitely what the civilization that came before ours had leaned into, you know, the greater powers, the things we all study, you know, they had different answers to these questions, you know, than we came up with, right? So the short answer after that rambling is this, Brian, because I already had my own understanding of my creator. Once I realized that we'd been at this a long time and that all these destructions and these things we hear about were real, that just bolstered me, dude, because then I was already trying to disengage from human power. I was already trying to realize my presidents don't know anything. You know, my leaders don't know anything. I was already trying to go, well, then what is my leader? And when I could understand physically in my hands and under my feet that the thing I was relating to was so much older than anybody understood, then I just felt more confident and stronger in it, and I just leaned harder. This is a good question, dude. I hope I was able to give you some sort of a true personal answer, but
I appreciate that, Jason.
Yeah.
Awesome answer.
I do have one more question for you, Jason, leading off from this, but first I want to ask Jean. Jean, I think you and I are quite similar in the way that we approach this topic. We are very much nuts and bolts kind of people. So how does invoking this illusion narrative or spirituality, I apologize, I have to just step away, go to use the restroom, but I'm going to set you up with a question. I'll be right back. Jean, how does all of this resonate with you, who I know thinks a lot like me? I'm wondering if you could reflect on the things that you've just heard Jason say and the overall topic of, is what we're seeing real? Is what we're being presented real? And also, just a quick heads up, Megan, I copied some questions from the chat I want to respond to later, but we'll get to that. So, John, if you don't mind responding to that, I'll be be right back.
Okay. When you say, in my mind, this is all an illusion, I interpret the statement as everything we're being taught, everything we see, everything we're being fed on TV, on the news, mainstream science, politics, everything is incorrect. It's all based on an illusion. They're lying to us. That's how I see living the illusion. That's how I interpret that statement.
When I
But I
was
don't
saying that,
feel,
I felt that, imagine like a personal illusion, like all your own beliefs, like all
oh
the
yes,
ways you've been thinking, and it like, bam, nothing.
yes,
It was all fake.
yes.
That.
This is what I was going to get to as well, Alec. Good point.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, everything that I've been taught, everything that I've learned in school, in high school, in university, college, everything is so rigid, so like gospel. This is dogma. That they teach you not to think out of the box. As soon as you think out of the box, you get rejected. How dare you think out of the box? I mean, I've seen some skeptics on my YouTube comments and my X comments, and they get very personal. Like, how dare you even consider that there's more than just God? Are you saying that Jesus and God isn't real? Then I say, no, it's got nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, it even boosts that statement that God is real. He created everything. God is life. He created the universe. So there's got to be life all over the universe. And the illusion that I'm referring to is the one that I've been taught, which is incorrect. I'm finding out a lot more truth. And 2020, the CV-19 lockdown, woke me up once and for all to the reality of what's going on in this world. So that is my take on the whole illusion thing. I'm out of the matrix. I've been pulled out of the matrix. And I will
I like
not be
what you said.
boxed in. I'm not going to be boxed in anymore. I'm also very open-minded.
It's perfect.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Brian, are you going to do that NASA Mastcam article just to finish it off?
We'll do a quick version of it here because I don't want to ruin the vibe that we've got going on here, which is kind of good for us here. We'll circle back around just to close that loop. Yes,
Sure,
but I want to keep going with this. I have a couple more questions. Megan, I'm wondering if you could also reflect on this question of how this idea of things being an illusion, do you buy into that? How much of that resonates with you and maybe the people that that are in your life? Why don't you just give us some of your general thoughts there?
I feel like most of the people in my life, in person at least, are very much content in the 3D, eating what they're being fed, and just getting up and doing work and getting their kids happy and healthy and not thinking too much deeper than that. So I'm extra grateful to have friends like you guys to dive into these topics with. And I think if you think about it too hard, you'll kind of just go crazy because there's no way to get to the bottom of all of it. So I kind of just live by following what lights me up. And that's sort of my guide. If I can't dive into every topic, I don't have the time or the bandwidth, but the things that light me up and excite me, I think that's where I'm supposed to go. And I think if we all did that, we'd all discover different interesting things and we could put it all together and get part of the picture at least. I don't know if that answers your question.
That's a great answer.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
great. But I was going to say curiosity was go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off, Brian, but just to echo what she said, the other tangible thing, you know, some people don't like when you talk about intangible things, but my curiosity and being able to finally engage that. When you got all these things and you go, okay, if everything's a lie, then let's get to what's real, and it's your curiosity on those things that light you up. Great job, Megan. Go ahead, Brian.
Megan, you just said something that caught my ear, something to the effect of what lights you up, what keeps you interested in where you feel like you can direct your energy and time and attention. And this is one of the things I know that I've struggled with coming from the traditional 9-to-5 world and adapting to this alternative way forward in my profession, if you want to even call it that. But how do you reconcile what is expected of you with normal everyday society? And we can open this up to the rest of the people here, versus what you feel as though your true passion and interest is, and how you express that. I mean, that's the thing that it's taken me a long time to be able to be comfortable expressing that. I mean, it took me a long time to say, like, I'm going all in on Mars. I mean, that didn't happen overnight. But I recognize that I cannot deny these obvious things, and somebody needs to start covering this in a way that, well, I felt like I had something to contribute. But I just wanted you to speak on that, like, what keeps you coming back to this, and how do you balance what you want to do and how you express yourself with these interests versus what your immediate circle, like, do you have to hide things? Do you not bring up certain subjects? Like, how do you deal with that, like, on a personal basis?
I think it's been a process over the last couple of years of me really stepping into this realm. I did kind of have like a wake up experience where things just started really not making sense. And I started digging deeper and looking into different sources and realizing that, what I originally was taught isn't what I believe when I pull back the curtain and look a little deeper. And there was a big process for me of figuring out, like, how public I could be about that. And here I am now. And yeah, like, there's certain people I can open up to more about these things. And I feel like the deeper I step into it, the more wonderful people like you guys I find that I don't have to hide from. But then it is a bit of a balancing act. Like, there are certain family members or people in my life that really aren't so open to this stuff, and I'm not trying to push it on anyone, or hide from them. So it's been a process of sort of learning how to be myself and express myself, but put the energy in towards the people that are excited about it as well, and sort of let everybody else live in their 3D if that's where they want to be.
Dude, that's funny. Live in the 3D. That's a good way of putting it. Anybody else have any thoughts on this?
You know, I would say that I'm a little bit envious, and I'm not mad at the people who choose to, just live their human life, within the construct. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot it's a lot, right? And it's a lot. It's a lot. If you really start going down, like, you just watch my channel for like, a couple days or whatever, and you'll see it's a lot. And it's not just my channel. It's just, you just start asking questions about the paradigm, and it's a lot. But what's cool is that we live in a world where we don't have to get our answers answered from an institution. We can work together in like this, and like building that spreadsheet and stuff, and do it ourselves, which is really exciting. It's really exciting to me.
Right. I think, Dave, in a previous conversation we had on the phone, you had this term NPCs, just the people that kind of surround us, who they're nice and they, but they don't really have any interest in this. And you're right, it is a lot, and it's an interesting observation. I mean, it seems like we are of the type that just want to. We don't mind taking on more because we're hopelessly curious about what else there is, what else there could be. I want to pivot now just to a separate question here. Again, I just mentioned, like, John and I are very nuts and bolts kind of people, and I think that when I try to message, when I'm making videos and I'm scripting things, I'm consciously, purposefully trying to keep in mind the layperson, the skeptic, the uninitiated, who probably has an idea about Mars that isn't favorable. Like, a bunch of tinfoil hat crazies think there's whatever on Mars. So I try to ground it as much as I can using messaging and communicating in a way that I feel would resonate with just the average Joe. I was reflecting on this the past few days, thanks to Spores MD. Thank you very much, Dave Multiverse. And it
check out Spores MD for all your needs.
It opens you up, man. And I felt like the time is going to come when I need to transcend that type of messaging to talk about the human emotional attachment that we have with our past. When we can sit around here and tweet all day long about megalithic structures and this data and that data and Egyptian Giza scans and all this other kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what are we really talking about? We are talking about people who lived much longer, in the distant past, people just like you and I who had relationships just like you and I. There was an intense emotional connection between people like we have today, probably more so back then because we're all separate now and staring at each other through screens. But I said to myself, I cannot lose sight of the fact that if, and I'm pretty confident on this if, what we're reporting on through all of our work, not just about Mars, but if what we're reporting on is true, that there was this ancient civilization, let's just talk about Earth for a second, that existed in the distant past, that was advanced enough to build these megalithic structures, that was wiped out by some catastrophe, that we've forgotten exactly what the technology was, and who knows if there was some sort of alien intervention. Imagine what the movie version of that looks like. Like, let's just say we've got widespread adoption of this idea and that we've disassociated ourselves from the conventional academic institutional narrative. And now everyone's on board with, yeah, there was some Atlantean civilization, blah, 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 blah,
Let's
blah, blah.
go.
What does that frickin' movie look like? And I don't know if you guys have seen The Odyssey,
Haven't.
Okay, when we have these, it's just a recent film, but we have plenty of sword and sandal movies to help us kind of interpret this question, right? To visualize and for us to experience this. And I'm a big movie guy, so I often cite movies. But I think we love, as people, we love stories, and at the core of every good story is the emotional attachment that we have with the people in the story and that they have with each other. And if what we're reporting on with Mars and with here on Earth is true, then we are talking about a very tragic tale of people who once lived who are no longer with us. And I wonder if we're sometimes forgetting about that aspect when we're reporting and discussing these things. And I wonder how each one of you has addressed this or has processed this question, or if you have at all. And if you have, I'm wondering what you can offer to me to help me communicate in this way, because this is one of the things I don't feel as though I'm gifted.
Yeah, Brian, if I may answer that question. Dr. Phil, you guys know Dr. Phil? He is on the UAP disclosure task force. And he is briefing President Trump on what effect disclosure will have on people, spiritually, emotionally, and on lots of levels. And they're working on a way of disclosing without distilling too much fear in people. And they'll have plans in place to deal with people that can't handle the truth. Because,
what's the plan for them? Round them up?
Like you're saying, Brian, it's a previous civilization that was destroyed, utterly destroyed. And I think some of the people that view this topic stay away from it because it goes against their spiritual beliefs. They can't deal with the emotions of thinking about a civilization that was totally wiped off a planet's face. I think if we start addressing those concerns that people have, we can start a wider disclosure movement. Because we have an audience, a huge chunk of society that is avoiding the subject for various reasons.
You know, it's funny, John.
The humanity, the human aspect of it, the spiritual aspect of it, it will count in our favor. It will really, because there are people that are, with the UFO disclosure now, that are starting to question their religion, their faith. Some people get anxious. Other people take advantage of them. Dr. Phil likes to say, the good example is someone identifies someone that might be wary of this situation. They're scared. They approach these people and say, sell everything. We'll buy you a bus that will bury in the ground for you, and you can hide there. We got to take that into account too. There are people that will take advantage of this too, to play on people's emotions, because the best way you can get through to someone is when you play on their emotions. So I don't know if that sort of answers your question, Brian, and sort of will give us some guidance in the future. Because Dr. Phil's looking at this too, on what does it do to people? How are they going to handle this? And if they can't, how can we help them?
Jean, if I can just add real quick a thought to something that he gave me. When you say that people, because of this ontological shock and because of spirit reasons, they stop. Listen, here's what I find very odd about that. I've been reading Enoch. I've been reading Enoch recently, right? And I've long said that there was a reason they took Enoch out of the Bible at the Council of Mycenae, right? Because seriously, because not only does it give you a different picture of God, but it gives you a foundation for all of these things that you're talking about that would cause ontological shock. Okay, so that's Christian. Christians have a basis. There's Atlantis in the Bible, okay? It's people like to rub over that fucking fact, but it's
there's
there.
There's UFO UFOs too.
Now,
Is he
India,
feels
all
real
around the
UFO.
world, our faiths have us prepared for any of these realities. So I find it very odd, man, that now the same people who have tried to silence these stories that would prepare us for this are now claiming that this thing they've created, this shock. They've taken away from us all of these things and minimized these things that all of our faiths from around the world have in them, right? And now they're going to come at us and go, oh, but it's shock. We can't tell you about it. You know, it's like, but you took the stories that told me about it. You know, it's again back to this lie that do you trust this disclosure mess? Do you trust? Because I don't see that if you really get down to it and you talk to people, that the ontological shock's not there on a faith basis, because every single faith, and I'll shut up with this, has within it all of these truths already in your text. Go look for it. All right, sorry.
So what you're saying is this could be another narrative, another psyop.
Well,
that's something to think about.
Panic on top of panic on top of panic, and somehow they're going to get us to fight each other physically. I mean, you know, that's just what I look for.
Megan and I talked to this guy, Justin Audie Brown. I believe his channel is called Prometheus Lens. And he so if you choose like a conspiracy theory, like woo-woo thing, he'll find something in the Bible, like not necessarily your Bible, but a version of the Bible that talks about that specifically, including UFOs and for real Bigfoot. So I'm just saying that to echo what Jason's saying, I think the foundation is there for people to interpret this stuff through their own religion. It's not even like
their own experience, you know. Stop relying on everybody else to tell them. And go ahead, Dave, but exactly their own experience.
That's it. That's all I had to say.
The problem with the religion stuff is that most of these most shocked and people that will be most threatened by the ontological shock are the people who are very religious, but they've never looked like very deeply into, for instance, the entire Bible or the entire Hindu sacred books. They are just, you know, Sunday school religious. I've known plenty of people like that. They know what they were told at the church, and they are very, you know, going every week to the church. They know all the stories. Their priest, their particular, here in Poland is a situation like that, you know, you go to each different church and different things. At least like 10-20 years ago it was like that. At each different church, there are different things being told and interpreted through the priest's lens of living. So people just believed in all of these different stories. But when you ask about, have you read the Bible or something, plenty of them, like almost never, or maybe sometimes a few passages here and there. And I think this is the problem, because what you, Jason, said, okay, it's here. This is a mention like that, or even, you know, the Nephilim, the giants, you know, the flood, etc. So I think these kinds of people are like, can be very easily threatened by all of that.
Oh, yes.
Yes, those are the same people that don't believe pedophiles run the world right now. So what are we going to do, man?
This is a good comment right here from Ed. Wouldn't you say, Brian?
True. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be some people who just don't want to know any of this stuff because they just don't want their worldview and.
Well, I think it's a choice too, right? Like you can't nowadays not come across some kind of paradigm shifting thing. So most people just roll with it and make that choice and don't think about it, you know?
Yes, Dr. Phil also does comment. He says people are ready for disclosure. They've never been readier than now.
You think so, Brian?
So
I think the people, yeah,
it's a two-edged sword.
There's a contingent of people who are ready for disclosure, and I think that those people who are ready for disclosure have the luxury of being ready for disclosure. I'm going to acknowledge that there's some people in the world who have it much harder than I do, who have to work a lot harder than I do, who've got a job they don't like, who have to work long hours, overtime, maybe even 2 jobs, who just don't have the luxury of having the time to care about any of this stuff because they're just trying to get paid, make ends meet, and provide for themselves and their family. So we got to go easy on them. But for those of us maybe in our circles who can afford time to look into these things, there are people close to me who just simply aren't curious. And we're not all born the same way. And I think that's what brings us together from all over the world, is that we are curious individuals. And the internet can be quite a terrible place, but hey, it can also be a wonderful place where we make these interesting connections. So I know that I know that I'm going to be in need of some guidance on this emotional attachment, the humanity of what this history. I don't want to forget the human aspect of it. We can talk about stone structures all day long and the precision and how they made it, blah, 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 but at the end of the day, there were people in the past. I don't necessarily need to invoke aliens, but something that are no longer here. I don't know. I've just
yes, it saddens Dr. Brandenburg too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, couldn't you tell? Like by the end of the call, he was like, "I don't want to talk about this anymore." Reading in his book, he's having this crisis of faith. He's a religious person himself, and he's just like breaking down and weeping, and like, yeah, it's like he's a very human.
Brian, if you lived in a house, you just touched me with the reaction he's having, the crying. If you lived, this comes to my mind. If you live in a house, right? Okay, you're moving in, first day, you're going in the house, right? You're going to meet the builder, all right? And the builder walks in and he goes, "Hey, this is my first house I've ever done. I hope you like it," right? You're going to be kind of like, "Holy shit, like this, I don't feel comfortable here." But what if the builder comes to you and says she's got this big book and he's like, "Yeah, here's billions of houses I've done," right? Okay, that to me is kind of the way I see this. When I start going, okay, there's more life, there's more creation, there's more everything. Well, my faith just goes, okay then, so I do have a pro on my hands. It's not just some little thing that's, took monkeys 6,000 years ago and it's got us walking around killing each other. No, I've got a pro on my hands because look at the diversity that's out there. It's just like the story of our past, man. Why do they want us to believe this little dirty dirt man, ooga booga story when this story that is the truth is such a grand one? It's so beautiful. It goes everywhere, right? It takes us maybe to other planets, right? That does not destroy my faith. That makes it more strong. You know what I mean? Because I apply that common sense and I go, okay, my creator didn't go anywhere. He just got a lot more experience under his belt is what he did when I learn about more of it. Sorry to interrupt. That's just a thought I had.
I think at the end of the day, maybe what prevents us from really diving into the deep end and then expressing that outwardly to people is the fear of rejection, the fear of being outcast from whatever social circle that we're currently in, even if it's a family social circle. And it takes a lot to overcome that. So I know we're probably each dealing with this in our own way. When I get together at family gatherings, I feel like I have nothing in common with my family anymore, extended family, because it's like they all want to talk about their cell phones or the game that was on. And hey, I grew up on sports too, but I eventually realized that there's more important things for me to be spending my time with, and the older I get, the less time I have on Earth. So what do I really want to be spending my time? I want to contribute. I want to feel like I'm contributing in some meaningful way. And I think that's what brings us all here. So we want to contribute. We just don't want to be passive about this. We want to get answers. And if that means we have to get in the game and take matters into our own hands and collaborate and find other like-minded individuals, then so be it. And maybe others see that as a waste of time, but to us, it's meaningful and it's valuable.
It's a pattern you mentioned, Brian. Do you notice that each of us have those same people around us? Perhaps Olex, I know you're younger, bro, but we have that. We have people around us that we can't open up and be about all of this, right? That's what we're talking about. To me, I see sort of, well, that trains us, didn't it? That made sure we were stubborn. We learned how to follow our passion, how to stick with it, and how to reach out and get where we are now. Finding other people that were in the exact same boat, it's a thing unfolding for sure.
I have been at like, dinner parties and stuff, and then like somebody drops a clue, and then it's like, aha, and then we start talking about lost ancient civilizations and stuff like that. That does happen to me. It's not that I like don't talk about it. I just know that like like without getting into the details, the people around me aren't going to want to talk about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just choose not to. But Brian, you mentioned earlier stories, and that's what people like. And like the human stories that people are attached to and that kind of thing. And then you said, like, what you were saying, what does the movie look like? And ever since then, I've just been like cooking up this Atlantis movie, Christopher Nolan, starring Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, and you know what I mean? The whole co-produced by Graham Hancock, the whole story right there. Boom. That's what we need.
We're probably 15 years away from that movie, unfortunately, because I think that this emerging community is making some great progress. But I think for it to get to that level, I think we've got to break through to the mainstream just a little bit more.
Man, I think it's there. I think people would go see.
We do.
I'd be bringing people that I didn't know. We'd all have to bring everyone we didn't know. You got to go see this.
What we need first, I think, are more documentaries. And I've given serious thought to this. If ever given the opportunity, I'd want to do the Ancient Civilization documentary to end all ancient civilization documentaries. But in order to do that, we have to collaborate with frickin' everybody because there's so much to it. Mars is easy because, we've got satellite photos and we've got some data and you can package all into one thing. But Earth, there's just so much more data and so much more research and so many more people covering it. I don't know how you distill that down into 2 hours. I know it could be done, but I feel like we need more of that to then say, hey, look, this is real, public, okay? And then that gets the public talking about it, and then change happens most effectively, in my opinion.
And I think the other way, that right now, before the documentaries, we should do, like, for everyone, like, casual blockbuster movie, epic movie about, lost civilizations, Atlantis. And then it will be like an initiation to people. Like, wait, it is so interesting. What if there was such a civilization? And then they go this rabbit hole, just as lots of people go rabbit hole, like with Indiana Jones or any kind of other movie. So I think this way.
Yeah. Just to wrap up, I think sustainable change can happen when it happens at the grassroots level, when it starts at the grassroots level. And that is clearly, we've already established grassroots movement on this, and we've got people much more influential than us who are driving that. There's so much to cover. It leaves room for everybody to get in the game, so to speak. So anyway, in the interest of time, I wanted to close a loop here. I want to address just a few questions in the chat and then just come back around on a very quick response to these things that we're seeing in these photographs, these NASA photographs that people might think are just dust on the lens and such. We'll do a very quick overview of the conventional explanations. I don't want to spend too much time on it because John and I are actually working on, John's taking the lead on this, is going to put together a comprehensive video addressing all of what people identify as conventional explanations for these things, but I just want to give a quick overview of that for those people watching and tuning in today. There's a question by Ricardo Petrazzi. I understand, for Jean, I understand that you're working on the upscaling. At some point you should do an explanatory video on it with diagrams. It's hard for those who don't quite get the technology of the CCDs. Ricardo, that's kind of what we're going to be doing. We're not going to do a deep dive into camera technology or anything like that, but just an introductory level on that sort of thing. Rubate had a question. Is the atmosphere of Mars dense enough to support powered flight?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, the Perseverance rover has this little helicopter, Ingenuity. It's this big,
That's crazy.
Yes.
but I don't know if we could fly a 747 on there.
Space is fake, man.
But UFOs, I don't really know if they're using conventional propulsion, so I don't really know if physics really matters to them anymore. Ricardo followed up. Ricardo Petrazi, NASA says it's less dense. NASA says the atmosphere of Mars is less dense. Do we really believe them? So I don't take a binary view of NASA. I don't take a binary view of the world. I think things exist on a spectrum. I'm going to give credit where I think credit is due with NASA, and there are some things I'm not going to challenge them on. They say we went to Mars. They say we sent these rovers to Mars. I believe them. That is not in contention with me. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with their atmospheric measurements. There is this that I don't have any challenge to. So yes, I do trust that what they're reporting to the public as it relates to their atmospheric measurements, how they say it is less than 1% as dense as Earth, which is where these questions are coming from. I obviously take some guidance from those who have been covering this for much longer than I've seen no indication that we should distrust this type of data coming from NASA. My main problem with them is that they try to explain everything through the lens of geology, and they'd rather not comment on all these other things. So as it relates to disclosure, they have a complicated track record. As it relates to the data itself, I accept the data. I just don't accept their interpretation of the data. So there's a distinction there. A question, is there a possibility that all these craft that John was showing earlier, is it all the same craft at different views? Anything's possible. John, did you have any feedback on that? I mean, are we talking about, ultimately, we're going to get Dr. Allison on here to talk about this as well. Channeling has some more analysis on this specific question, but as it relates to nuts and bolts, John, are we looking at one? Are we looking at a dozen different crafts? What do you think? Can we even tell?
Yeah, if I was to go out on a limb, I would say the same craft does show up in multiple photographs, but it isn't the same craft in all the photographs. Because we don't know the configuration of those objects. We're only seeing side views of them. So we don't know where the nub sit or the dome sit. So the craft could be turning, it could be turned in some photographs, and that thing could be slightly offset. And in the other one, you're seeing it head on, so it looks like it's in the center. So I speculate we're looking at the photographs that show the same craft in different configurations. But there are various types.
Mm-hmm. Nice comment from Ricardo Petrazi again. He says, this is the most professional outfit on the internet as it relates to Mars, incorporating all the work from the independents and super important, combating the faux videos and AI slop, of which there is a lot.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. For those people who are still tuned into this, I want to just make a couple comments on this. Number one, my goal is to... The reason why I am very keen on crediting these researchers with these discoveries is because, in my view, over the decades, these things surface and they eventually make their way to the tabloids. But whoever tracks it back to originally found it. And I think that if you can identify the discoverer, you have that connected to the discovery, and if you can then build up trust with the discoverer, such as Jean Ward, who is very transparent with his work, and there's a few other people, I feel like as a public relations effort, that will go much further in advancing the argument that we should be taking these anomalies seriously. So, and it is also because there are a bunch of people out there who I do get pictures and I do get images from people saying, "Hey, Brian, what do you think of this?" I'm like, and I can immediately tell it is a rover photographed with a superimposed computer-generated anomaly, and I'm like, "This is obviously fake. Where did you find this?" So that stuff is out there. They're looking to prey on our so.
And there's never a link to the original source.
Right, I know. Talk is cheap. Like, unless you got a source, bro, like, we're not, trust me, bro. We are, here's the source, here's what it is, here's our analysis. If you disagree, please present an argument. Even NASA will say, oh, we see this sort of thing all the time, it's this, that, or the other.
But they don't show.
They don't. NASA has a trust me, bro, response to a lot of these things, and until I see a credible explanation that can explain away the things that we're seeing, I'm inclined to believe the researchers have done their due diligence and things are just sort of obvious. I mean, Jason, having known nothing about Mars, you start seeing these things that John is finding, you're like, it's obvious there's something going on here. And that's, I have seen enough people, the audience has grown to such a degree where it's like, it has proven to me that we're not the only ones seeing these things. This obviously scales. If you show it in front of enough people, the majority of them are going to accept the overall argument. They might have a problem with this one or that one, but the overall presentation, given the totality of evidence, I think does resonate with people. My position is that I feel like the personality, the people involved with doing the work need to be present in this discussion, because I think that adds to the overall credibility factor that Mars has thus suffered for the past 50 years. So that's why I go to bat for these guys, because I feel like if I do that, the public is more likely to take this stuff seriously. And lastly, there's a question from Vega Lyras. Do you guys think that private missions to Mars, maybe something done by Elon Musk, could be better to really investigate what these things are? NASA avoids true investigation. I haven't seen much from Elon in terms of his of a genuine interest to investigate these things. You know,
But he does want to go to Mars.
He does want to go to Mars. The colonization.
So I guess what they're saying is if that they put that into action, and then you can do a private trip to Mars and do your own research. I think that's what he means.
He's pivoted to the moon recently, which I find odd and probably part of our discussion eventually. If you've noticed, he's talking about building a base on the moon, and he hasn't mentioned Mars in a while. I have no idea why. Just noticed it.
I think Elon's attention goes to wherever the shiny object is. And
Yeah, NASA talks more about building a base on Mars than Elon does lately.
while I do support the overall effort of getting boots on the ground there, I think
In our lifetime,
that there has to be more than just colonization. I mean, in my opinion, Mars is a crime scene that needs to be investigated first, instead of just colonized and we plant our flag there and call it a day.
Pillaged.
I don't think that's what's
Right.
going to happen.
You know, and God forbid we
Couldn't we do it with the tech that's already there, guys? We need transparency, right? Because for all we know, NASA is researching this shit and sending their drones there and just not putting it out in the photo. I mean, you get where I'm going. Like, we don't need boots on the ground, do we? We need honesty and transparency with the tech
That's
that's already
correct.
there.
But there is that human connection, though, Jason, that if we will be more likely to trust, oh, there's an astronaut. We love astronauts. Astronauts are apolitical. They are bipartisan. Like, they've got a 99%, you know,
And they come
approval
back from the
rating.
moon looking scared as shit. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay, we love our astronauts. We put an astronaut up on Mars. like they're going to be celebrated as a hero. And if he runs a test and says this, that, or the other, then we're going to believe him because he's a hero. So just that simple little thing I do see value in. But I before we send, my goal is that before we actually send any humans there, that the collective, the public is aware of these things that we're talking about here on our awesome live stream on Sundays, but that it expands out beyond just a live stream. Look, guys, we are doing some incredible, groundbreaking work here. This has not been done before. And I want to credit you guys for showing up for doing this, because this is grassroots, but this is going to grow. It's growing every week. And I am amazed by its progress. And I really thank you guys for your interest in this.
It's an excellent microcosm, isn't it, Brian? Seeing what goes on here, if this blueprint may be a better word. Seeing what you've done here, and then I'll include we from that point, because you're really the sort of genesis. Reaching out to those researchers. But if what we do here could be replicated, right, across the genres, across the topics, as we now enter these new realities. Brian, it seems to me a lot of the people used to be into Mars and UFOs and all that shit for fun, but now we're at that threshold where it's real, and these questions you're asking about how do you address it is because we're at that threshold now where people who even were into it for a while were kind of like, but wait a minute, what, it's real? Like what do I do? So bravo, sir.
Dave, I'm going to take just 2 minutes to share my screen.
Yeah, do
it.
it.
Real quick, because John's going to kill me if I don't do this. Okay, because we need to give a quick preview of what John's going to be covering in much more detail in an extended video of his. But we have. Okay, can you guys see?
Oh, sorry. Do it again. My bad, Megan.
Okay, no problem. I can't recall how I came across this page, but we actually do have a NASA page where they talk about these sorts of funny-looking things that we see in the sky. And here they have, see this says Mashcam. What is this? Arizona State University, Jean. Arizona State University is where they have house a lot of these NASA photographs. It's complicated. They have photographs all spread all over the place. But it's this institution. It's related to NASA. And they'll show something like this, and they'll zoom up on it, and they will call this a cluster of dead pixels. We feel as though that is a misnomer, because when you say dead pixel, that implies a hardware malfunction where the pixels no longer work at all. And so if they stop working on one image, they're going to stop working on all the rest of the images. Right. So you would expect to see the same exact thing. Okay.
And we do that in the catalog, yes.
Right. So these are the kinds of things that we identify in the catalog. This is just a quick overview, John. We're not going to get into incredible detail here. But they talk about CCDs and camera sensors and things like that, how the light works and how it all is put together. They talk about gray pixels. They talk about dead pixels. They talk about hot pixels, whatever the heck that is. Here we see, this is what NASA says a cosmic ray burst is supposed to look like. It's going to look like a dot, or it'll look like a streak. I don't know if you guys can see these streaks here, but that's what a cosmic ray burst looks like. So when they say these funny looking things in the sky are cosmic ray bursts, that's nonsense. Okay? We even have photographic examples elsewhere that John's going to show too, from a NASA astronaut photographer who photographs these things when he's up in the International Space Station. It just looks like street light. Okay, and what John was talking about earlier was that sometimes you will see these little tiny things here that NASA says, well, we see these cluster of bad pixels. We know that's a bad data dropout or something, so we're just going to fix it before we publish it. Okay?
For aesthetic purposes, yes.
And so what does it say then? Routine routine. These bad pixels are therefore known to the team and can be routinely corrected for during image processing. Okay, so that is what they're talking about here.
So they physically manipulate the photograph to remove that dark spot.
If NASA is identifying what they think are bad pixels that just simply need to be corrected and then publishing them, but then not fixing the ones that ultimately do get published to the website for us to look at and observe and comment on, that tells me that those things in the sky that we're seeing are not what they consider to be bad pixels, that they are in fact supposed to be there. So this is just a quick overview. We've got direct communication on all of this at a technical level directly from NASA. We're going to be doing a more extensive video on this. So we try to disprove these funny looking shapes in the sky, but doggone it, I have yet to do it. And I'm trying to, and I'm getting feedback, and I'm like, I don't know. And this idea of UFOs on Mars took a while for me to grow on me. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. We got to cover it, and we're doing it in the most transparent and logical way that we can.
I'm open to it. I am open to it. Shall we wrap?
Yeah, man.
There was one question. Rue asked, is that fake red Mars? Where did he put it? In that picture, did they deliberately put a color filter on the photo, or is that the real color? That's the real color?
They put a red filter over it.
Okay.
Yes. A while ago in the presentation, I presented a few live streams ago. I showed you those images that the surname's Vasavada. He presented the color photographs taken on Mars, and they all had blue skies without the red filter applied.
One other quick comment here. Each rover, mainly the Curiosity rover, has 4, 5, 6 different cameras on it. And these things are showing up in all of them. So it's not just like one camera's got a problem. Each one of them is photographing this sort of thing. And it's not dust on the lens. Dust doesn't render as a...
No, NASA themselves in that article says it will be a blur.
Yeah, exactly. So
be a blur.
I think it's so telling, Brian, that what you showed us, that article there with NASA and those pictures at the top that they claimed was a glitch, right? And then as you plainly stated, that would occur in all the photos, but yet they went on so lengthily to describe to you how the pixels glitched. And it's like, my God, the energy and effort that went into the lie, why can't that be on telling me what it is?
And if they're willing to admit that they manipulate their photographs in that article to remove these black dots, what else are they manipulating? Because Donna Hare came forward. She's a NASA whistleblower. She worked in the image or photography section, and she witnessed them airbrushing photographs. She testified about that, and before she passed away, Stephen Greer did an interview with her. And she says she's willing to go to Congress to testify about this. But unfortunately, she's no longer with us.
In some old conspiracy theory books, there were like images showing in high contrast, like old NASA images, like it was exactly like the airbrush in casual paint. So it looked like that. I don't know if you're aware of, I don't know which images particularly, but also from the moon landings, etc. Or, the official ones that were put, and you see, when you take either high contrast or something that it's like too choppy to, like, here is darkened, etc.
And this is the first time they admit that they actually manipulate photographs. Manipulate, in quotation marks, for aesthetic purposes.
Shout out, Mike. Good hanging out with you too, bro.
What's up, Mike?
Yeah, Ashish was talking about airbrushing too, and that's not something I have really commented on. I don't know enough about airbrushing or what it looks like, but he says it's obvious with even just the pyramid that Gary found recently. He's like, this is way too smooth. So I'll have to dig into that a little bit later. I try not to sound too conspiratorial because I'm already pushing the envelope in terms of what NASA is and is not transparent with, but it's worth investigating.
But it does make one doubt if they admit that they do it to these curiosity photographs. What else have they done? Makes you question.
True.
Yeah.
It does. I think this has been a wonderful conversation.
It has.
Play a
Very
little
deep.
outro music. Thank you, everyone in the chat, so much. Lively chat, lots of good questions, lots of positive comments and positive energy. We love that here in the multiverse. Gee, I think we had a lot of people watching tonight, so that was fun. Let's go around the horn quick and let the audience know what you're up to on your personal channel and what it is that you're working on. Jason, what's going on in Within and Without, or I forget what it's called.
Finding Things Within and Without. I just did a Sunday episode today that Jacqueline from Universe Unveiled called Shaman Sunday Service. I said I liked Sunday Shaman Sunday shit better. This week, I do hope to get out back to the Coosa River. If you guys saw me go down the Coosa this past week with the high water level, I want to get back with the low water level so we can get some footage and you can get an idea of what it was like in the natives' day when it was Chief Coosa's territory. Thank you very much, Dave.
You're welcome, bro. And subscribe to his channel right here.
Shaman 711, yeah.
Or on Facebook. You can find him there as well. Author, researcher, podcaster, podcast guest, podcast editor, the Whiz Kid, Alexander Cheshkovich. You're one of the busiest guys in the business. What are you up to?
Lots of things, publishing some books in Poland in Polish right now and finishing some old projects from like what can come soon on my channels in English too, finishing the research on the flood and how the myth and everything spread, so not only from Mesopotamia but much before that. Cool stuff, but lots of work still to do. Thank you for having me on, really enjoyed. Today was a great show, and I actually like that we also started talking about, the human part of it, this part of it, illusion, and I think such topics are important. I think we should take like maybe 20 minutes each Mars Disclosure Live, like just as a break between presentation or parts of the presentation to address these questions.
Yeah, I like that,
Very
man.
good.
I really enjoyed having that discussion as well, and I think the audience responded well to it as well. Jean Ward, you mentioned you got the video coming up, another video coming up. Are you working on anything else? You already talked about the one that's coming up, if you want to mention it right now as well.
Yeah, it's a big project. I reckon it's going to be one of the bigger projects that I'm going to undertake. It's to address that NASA article that we just briefly browsed over, showing evidence of what I found, showing evidence of what they're claiming, going into detail about the cameras and what these artifacts would look like if it was dust. How does the dust move? How do they fix dead pixels by baking them? And it's called annealing, apparently. I'm going to look into a whole lot of things. So it's going to take a while to get this video out there. But in the meantime, I'll release my short, long form videos as well. And then I'm still waiting for feedback as to when the book I co-authored with Giuseppe Filotto in Italy, when that's going to be published. But that should be soon. And then we're going to start working on a coffee book table magazine, sort of like the National Geographic format, with high glossy images of these NASA anomalies. So that's another short-term project I'll be working on with Giuseppe. And that's about it. Thank you, Dave. Thank you to everyone who watched and commented. Much appreciated.
Well, Jean, there's no shortage of gratitude for you in the chat and on this panel. So please keep following that light that you're following. You're on the right track. Don't give up. Okay. And then Mr. Brian Corey Dobbs, thank you again for leading that discussion tonight. And what do you have coming up next on your channel?
Yeah, Dave, just one real quick screen share. I've got this video coming out with, I'm going to be doing a showcase on Gary, who has joined us a few times in the past.
Gary, nice.
What's up, Gary, if you're watching?
Yeah, in my opinion, Jean, please correct me, but I really do think Gary has discovered the most number of pyramids. He's only published a small fraction of what he's discovered. He's got probably 50 things that he has yet to publish on. I've seen a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, and I wanted to do a nice video about Gary. It has a lot of the footage that didn't make it into the film. I went out to Colorado and spent a day with him, and we kind of went all over the place and got some pretty cool sound bites from Gary, and it should be a nice little get to know Gary and some of the things that he does. So just
that's awesome.
Gary.
That's awesome.
Well, hands down, Gary has discovered the most pyramids on Mars, easily.
Very cool. And if you want to get the latest in breaking ancient news in the world of ancient history, go back and watch the live stream I just did with Aaron from Megalithic Mystery, Cody from East 10 Outpost, and George Howard, the producer or the promoter of Cosmic Summit and the Cosmic Summit channel. It was a great show we did today. It was right before this. You can go back and watch it if you got nothing else to do. Yeah, guys, that was a good one. Thanks, Megan. Yeah.
Thanks for the chat. Great work, guys. You're adding so much to this discussion. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, the chat was on fire tonight.